one, AMR back in with a video. So in today's episode, I'm going to be covering all of the injury reports here for our big contest here in week 5. Starting off here, we are going to London, where you have the New York Giants at the Green Bay Packers. I mean, this game's not going to be close. You have New York, who has an 11.9% chance of winning this one, according to ESPN. Looking at the injury report, you got Aziz Ojelari. He's going to be out. He's a linebacker for the Giants. Kadarius Toney's been out again. Kind of concerning. The guy really hasn't been able to stay healthy ever since getting drafted. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's also out. He's a wide receiver out of Kentucky, rookie. Really haven't seen him do much of anything this season because he's been injured the whole time. Was questionable all week. I think that he'll be, I don't know, man. I think that he either has to play next week or they need to start figuring out what to do with him. Leonard Williams, their DN, he's questionable officially. I think that he plays. Tyrod Taylor, he's out already of this contest. So flipping over to the Green Bay Packers, you have Kylan Hill, their running back. He's out. I don't really even know who that is, so it's not really too much of a concern. Adrian Amos, he got carted off last week. Carted off or carried off, something like that. He's questionable for this contest. I do not think that he plays. Devontae Wyatt, he's their D tackle. He's questionable. I think he'll be out there. Tariq Carpenter, he's a safety. He's questionable for the contest. I think that he plays as well. Now we come back to the United States, and you have Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Buffalo Bills. Pittsburgh's 1-3, and Buffalo's 3-1. Another very lopsided contest. Steelers have a 15.4% chance of winning this game. It's pretty bad. Okay, so talking about some of the key people that are going to be out of here, you have Akello Witherspoon, the cornerback. He is out of the game. I don't really know what he's dealing with, but I think this is his second game in a row where he's out. Cameron Sutton, cornerback, he's questionable. I think that he is going to be out. Terrell Edmonds, safety, he's already been ruled out. So the defensive side of the ball, which is supposed to be Pittsburgh's stronger of the two sides, really has not done too much ever since week 1. They've really kind of fallen off ever since losing TJ Watt for some time to a torn pectoral. So I think this is going to get ugly pretty quick. Isaiah Mckenzie, he's questionable. I think that he plays. You already have Dawson Knox being ruled out in this one. Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, he's questionable. I think he does play. Ed Oliver, D tackle, he's questionable. I think he plays. He's a veteran. I think he's just getting rest. Jordan Phillips, D tackle, he's questionable. I think he'll play as well. And then Jamison Crowder, he is put on the injury reserve. So he fractured his ankle. He'll be out for some time. I think that in that role, you're going to see a usage increase out of Isaiah Mckenzie and Gabe Davis, who we really haven't seen do too much since the first week or two. Stefan Dix has been a very, very, not great start the last 2 weeks, but I think that this is a get-right game for him. Expect him to get over 100 yards receiving and at least 1 touchdown. Next up, you have the Chargers visiting Cleveland. This one's actually a pretty close game. I'm not really sure why. Both teams are 2-2, but it does seem like the Chargers have the advantage in this game. According to odds here, it does say that Cleveland has the advantage at home from a percentage base, but the line is -2 for the Chargers, so you tell me. Los Angeles, Keenan Allen has already been ruled out for the contest, so I think that really your hopes of having Mike Williams be another really good week kind of in question-ish. I think that he, on paper, should have a good game, but the Cleveland defense has been good enough against wide receiver 1, so remains to be seen, especially on the road. Joshua Palmer, he's questionable. I think that he plays. I kind of said that with a little bit of a question mark because I really don't know. Dustin Hopkins, place kicker, he's questionable. Again, in these cases, typically what will happen is the place kicker will go out and pregame and kick a couple balls, and if it doesn't go well, then the team will just sit him, and then they'll just pretty much go for 2 the entire game. So he really is a game time decision. I really have no idea of the circumstance. This has been kind of one of those stories that has flown under the radar. Jerome Ford, running back, he's on the IR. Greedy Williams, cornerback, he's also on the IR. You got Jadeveon Clowney, he is questionable for the contest, and then you got Taven Bryan, the D tackle, he is also questionable. So it does look like Myles Garrett is going to be back out there, which is fantastic. He had suffered that car crash 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and he'd missed the past game and game or 2. So it'll be nice to see him back out there. I think that does not bode well for Austin Eckler coming off of a very hot game last week. Now we go to a game that I'm actually going to tomorrow. You have the Chicago Bears visiting Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are favored in this contest. They are 3-1. Bears are 2-2. Has not been a fun ride if you were hoping to get anything out of Justin Fields so far. Pretty much non-existent. You got N'Keal Harry on the Bears. Injury reserve. I mean, might as well just cut him. He's not going to pan out anyway. Cody Whitehair, center. He's also on the IR. Dave Montgomery's questionable. I don't think that he plays in this game. Jalen Johnson, cornerback for the Bears. He's doubtful. I don't think that he plays. Dane Cruikshank, cornerback. He's also doubtful. So, I mean, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, start them all. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath tomorrow. And then going over to the Minnesota Vikings side of the ball, you really don't have really anyone to worry about here. You got Lewis Sine, the safety. He's on the IR. I don't really think that he is much of a factor given that Harrison Smith's still out there. And yeah, this game's going to get really ugly really, really quick. You got the Detroit Lions at the New England Patriots. So this is going to be one of those games where I'd have to imagine that Detroit's going to be able to put up some numbers. I think that Detroit's going to get over 24 points in this game, which is saying a lot because the Patriots defense has not been terrible. I actually think that Detroit's going to upset New England in this one. I think that Detroit gets a win on the road here in New England. I'm going out on a limb there. I think that Damian Harris is going to be awesome this week. He'll probably get multiple scores, but I just think that Jared Goff has a lot of weapons at his disposal. Over on the Detroit Lions side, you got Charles Harris, linebacker. He has been out. Chris Board, linebacker. He's questionable. I don't think that he plays. You got John Kaminsky, D-end. He's out. Matt Nelson, he's the offensive tackle. He's also out. And then you got Quintez Cephas, wide receiver. He's on the IR. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a true game time decision. We really don't know what he is going to be happening for him in tomorrow's game. He could realistically not play, and I think that that's truly what's going to happen. I believe that they have the bye week next week. So I don't see them trying to rush Amon-Ra back to health faster than what he needs. It's an ankle injury. He's a wide receiver. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, at least the way the Detroit Lions are utilizing him. So try and be a little bit cautious on his return. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver, questionable for the Patriots. Lawrence Guy, D-end, he's out. DeMarcus Mitchell, D-end, he's out. Raekwon McMillan, linebacker, he's questionable. I think he plays. Jalen Mills, cornerback, questionable. I think he plays too. So I think that Jared Goff is going to have a bit of a tester in this game. I don't think that Jared Goff has a phenomenal game necessarily. The only really weapon that I'm excited to start in this game for the Detroit Lions has to be TJ Hawkinson, coming off of that really nice week last week. Other than that, I'm really kind of staying away. Even Jamal Williams, I don't really see this being a good matchup for him. Now we have the Seahawks at the New Orleans Saints. So I think that the Saints are going to win this one, but Seattle's going to keep this one pretty close. This one could realistically come down to a true, field goal like last week, where New Orleans Saints, they hit the goalpost, hit the upright, and just bounced out. So not great. I will say this much: New Orleans is 0-2 at home, and Seattle is 1-1 on the road. So I really do kind of feel like Seattle has upset alert on this one. Seattle, Kenneth Walker, he's questionable. I think that he plays, but I think that Rashad Penny's going to be the workhorse. He's been pretty good so far this season. Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver, he's questionable. I think that he plays, but I don't think he's used. Justin Coleman, cornerback, he is questionable. I think that he plays. Derek Young, wide receiver, he's out. Really not a guy that you really even care about. Then Dale Johnson, D-end, he's on the IR. Over on the Saints side of the ball, you got Alvin Kamara, who's questionable. I think that he plays. I hope that he plays. Marcus May, safety, he's questionable. I think that he plays. Peyton Turner, D-end, he's out. Calvin Throckmorton, what a name. He's out. And then PJ Williams, cornerback, he's on the IR. So rather extensive injury list here. You already have Michael Thomas being ruled out in this contest too for the Saints. Failed to mention that. Jameis Winston's not appearing on this IR report, but he is doubtful for the contest. So I'm not really sure why he's not showing up either. Chris Olave is going to be awesome this week. You do have Andy Dalton passing the ball, so have a little bit tempered expectations. Dolphins at the Jets. So this is going to be a fun game. I feel like it's going to be a lot higher scoring than people think. I really don't want any of the pieces because you really don't know where the points are going to come from. But on Miami, you got Tua Tagovailoa. He's already been ruled out, obviously. Jalen Waddle's battling this groin injury. He's questionable for the contest. I think that he does play. Tyreek Hill, he's also questionable in this game. I think that he plays. I'm a little concerned, honestly. If they are without Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, I think the Jets win this game. It is really just that little bit of a difference between these two teams right now. Without having Tua under center, I really do think that this Miami Dolphins team is really all not that scary. And the Jets have stayed in games. That's just like the fact of the matter. Salvin Ahmad, running back, he's questionable. I don't think that he plays. Nor do I think he's used. Xavier Howard, cornerback, questionable. I think he plays. Tron Armstead, questionable. I think that's just veteran rest. He's going to play. And then Ethan Carter, tight end. He's on the IR. Over on the Jet side of the ball, you got Vinny Curry, DN. He's on the IR. Marcel Harris, linebacker, questionable. Quincy Williams, linebacker. He has been ruled out. And then Max Mitchell, tackle. He is on the IR as well. So I think that this game is going to be fun for different reasons than what we may think. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is scheduled to just, without being too crude, shit on Atlanta. I really do think that that's how it's going to go. Yeah, Isaiah Oliver, cornerback, he's on the IR, and then Kyle Pitts, tight end, he's been ruled out of the contest. So I don't see anything to like about the Atlanta side of the ball. That being said, I don't really like anything about the Tampa Bay side of the ball either. This is a team that has a lot of different weapons. You don't know from a fantasy perspective who is going to get the workload. And you know that Tampa Bay is going to get out in front in this game early. And it's just going to be a run fest. So if you're trying to start Tom Brady, I don't think it's a great move. Chris Godwin has not scored. So he could be your option there. But Mike Evans has already gotten 3 touchdowns on the season, twice last week. I think Mike Evans, you got to ride the hot hand. And so for Leonard Fournette, I'm kind of completely out on Leonard Fournette as well. If this game gets out of hand a little bit early, I think Leonard Fournette kind of gets pushed to the backlog, and then you start to bring in Rachaad White, who was pretty involved last week as is. Titans at Commanders. This game's going to be not very fun to watch, but I think it's going to have a lot of fantasy relevance for the outlook of the season. You have Brian Robinson coming off of IR, so he's been activated, and I think that he's going to make his debut tomorrow. This has a huge fantasy implication for J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson. I think that we see a limited fashion of Brian Robinson, but it's really going to tell a lot for this offense. You have Jahan Dotson. He's been placed on the IR for the Washington Commanders, so you hate to see that as well. I don't know if he's been on the IR. It says he's out for this contest, but I could have sworn he's been placed on the IR. Lonnie Johnson, cornerback, he's questionable for the Tennessee Titans. I think he plays. Bud Dupree, linebacker, he's out. Ola Adeniyi, linebacker, he's been out. Joe Jones, linebacker, out. And then Treylon Burks, he's on the IR. So maybe I'm confusing the two, both of which are rookies and playing pretty well. Jahan Dotson better. Treylon Burks, he's out. So I think that Robert Woods is going to get a big bump on the offensive side. If you're trying to maybe get like more of a streamer option, maybe a Kyle Phillips, he's also a wide receiver that should get a pretty big bump. And then Westbrook Akine as well. On the Washington Commanders side, you got Jahan Dotson. He's been ruled out. Logan Thomas, tight end. He's questionable. I think he plays. And if he does play, you have to play Logan Thomas this week. It doesn't sound super sexy or appealing, but Tennessee's given up the 4th most points on the season against the tight end. So you really do have to watch what you get there. Percy Butler, safety, he's out. Sam Cosmi, tackle, he's out. And then Milo Eifler, he's on the IR. Okay, so we go to Jacksonville here. We have Houston in town, 0-3 versus a 2-2 team. Jacksonville has looked surprisingly good this season. Their defense has taken a huge stride, and then from an offensive perspective, it really does seem like Doug Peterson knows what he's doing. Brevin Jordan, tight end, he's been ruled out. I think that gives a big bump to Atkins as well as O.J. Howard. You got Blake Cashman, linebacker, he's out. Austin DeCulis, I don't know. Tight end, tackle, he's out. Jonathan Grenard, D-end, he's been ruled out. And then Chris Moore, wide receiver, he's also out. Oh, man. So I don't think Houston's going to have a great time in this matchup. I think Jacksonville defense is going to like really try and eat this team alive. If you're a Dameon Pierce owner and you've kind of been relishing in the past couple of weeks of having a good fantasy output, I think that this comes to a crashing halt in this week's matchup against Jacksonville. Clavon Chaisson, linebacker, he's questionable. I think he plays. Cole Van Lennon, tackle, questionable. Zay Jones, wide receiver, questionable. I think Zay Jones does play in this game. He was held out of last week's contest, but I really don't see that being a long-term injury for the guy. Now we have San Francisco at Carolina. It's going to get ugly, man. Carolina cannot move the freaking ball, and San Francisco has had a stellar defense this season. Jason Verrett, cornerback, he's been ruled out. Eric Armstead, D-end, he's been ruled out. Javon Kinlaw, D-tackle, out. And then Tarvarius Moore, safety, he's also been ruled out. Colton McKivitz, he's the tackle, and he's on the IR. Those are all for San Francisco. And then on the Carolina side of the ball, you have Laviska Shenault, wide receiver. He's been ruled out. And that's pretty much it in terms of like who you really are going to care about for this contest on the Carolina side. The game's going to get ugly. I see that this being a 170-yard passing day from Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. I have no interest in this game. I think that San Francisco actually gets a pick six in this game. I'll call it. They're going to get a ton of sacks. San Francisco defense is phenomenal. Now we go to your late window where you have the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Rams. Dallas Cowboys are 3-1 against the Los Angeles Rams here at 2-1. So here's the cool thing about this game. I think that Dallas's pressure on defense is a perfect scheme fit against the terrible O-line that the Los Angeles Rams have had. I think that Dallas actually is going to have an upset alert here. I think Dallas actually wins this game. Cooper Rush has looked phenomenal in the absence of Dak Prescott, as well as their defense really just kind of limiting the amount of opportunities that their opponent has to score in the contest. So I think Dallas actually wins this game. I think that this raises a huge red flag for what's going on the offensive side of the ball for the Rams, but that's topic for another day. On the injury report, you got Dallas Cowboys here. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, is questionable. I think he plays. Jake Ferguson, tight end, he's questionable. I think he plays, but it's not used. Jordan Lewis, cornerback, questionable. I think he's out there. Jason Peters, O-tackle. He is doubtful in the contest. That really sucks. I think that is that's a pretty red herring for a dud week here for Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard, running back, he's questionable. I don't really see him being... if he is out there, I think that it's really going to be the Zeke show. I don't see Tony Pollard doing really well. He had a very rough week last week. David Long Jr., cornerback, questionable. I think he plays. Brian Allen, center, he's out. Kobe Durant, cornerback, he's out. Jordan Fuller, safety, he's on the IR. And then Coleman Shelton, center, he's on the IR as well. So Rams are not looking too fantastic right now. I think that kind of sucks. I think that Dallas wins, Now we have the Eagles visiting Arizona. You have a on-the-road favorite here of the Eagles. Eagles have looked phenomenal on both sides of the ball this season. I don't think Arizona is going to be the team to upset them. They're just, from a scheme fit perspective or matchup based, it just really doesn't make any sense. Philadelphia likes to run the football down the throat of the opposition. Arizona's actually been somewhat okay against the rush-ish. Through the air, they've been really good against wide receiver ones, but everyone else they've kind of sucked on. I think that's because of Byron Murphy. So Philadelphia, you got Jake Elliott. He's already been ruled out. Boston Scott's questionable. I don't think he plays. Avonte Maddox, cornerback, he's out. Patrick Johnson, linebacker, he's out. And then Jordan Mailata, tackle, he has been ruled out as well. On the Arizona side, you have Rondale Moore's questionable. I think that he plays, but again, I don't really see a ton of utilization out of him. Max Garcia, guard, he is out. Rashad Lawrence, D-tackle, he's out. Nick Vigil, linebacker, he's on the IR. And then Rodney Hudson, the center, he is doubtful for the contest. So I really do see this being a pretty ugly game. I think this is a game in which Miles Sanders is going to be pretty good, even though I just said that the Arizona rush defense hasn't been that bad. It just feels like Kyler is still trying to figure out how to play football at the NFL level. It kind of sucks because I've always kind of been a Kyler Murray truther, but this season he really has had his trouble, and I don't see it getting much better. I think you just have to wait for DeAndre Hopkins to come back before you get any type of realistic assessment of what this offense can do and say in games. Now you have the Bengals at Baltimore. This is another fun game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. This is Sunday Night Football. On Cincinnati, you got Drew Sample. He's on the IR. Khalid Kareem, the D-end, he's on the IR. T. Higgins is questionable. He's going to be out there. Hayden Hurst is questionable. I think he's going to be out there. So I think it's going to be a fun game. On the Baltimore side, you got Rashad Bateman, wide receiver. He's already been ruled out. Justice Hill's been ruled out. Marcus Peters is questionable. I think he plays. Justin Houston, linebacker, he's out. And then Ben Cleveland, guard, he has been ruled out as well. Devin Duvernay and Mark Andrews are going to be awesome this week, given that Rashad Bateman is not going to be out there. I think that T. Higgins might be one of the best receivers in the entire NFL. His route running is great. His speed's awesome. His hands are perfect. Having him as a perfect complement on the other side of Jamar Chase is really just unfair for a lot of these teams. And then for our Monday Night Football matchup, you have the Vegas Raiders at Kansas City Chiefs. This is a game where I think Kansas City is going to win this game. Patrick Mahomes is 7-1 against the Raiders, so I don't really see this being too much of a hurdle for him. On the Vegas side, you got Sam Webb, cornerback. He's questionable. I think that he plays. Justin Herron, tackle. He's on the IR. Foster Moreau, tight end. He's questionable. I don't think that he's out there or really used for that matter. Jaylen Brown, linebacker. He's been ruled out. On the Kansas City side, you have Harrison Butker. He has been ruled out of the contest already, but I think that moving forward, you can go ahead and probably pick him up on waivers this week. He'll probably be healthy for next week. Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver, he's been ruled questionable. I think he's going to be out there. And then Mike Dana, DN, he's questionable as well. This is going to be a fun game. It's gonna tell us a lot about the Vegas offense. Devontae Adams has to do something in this contest, or we can probably just move on as a whole. I think Josh Jacobs is okay in this matchup. Not fantastic. If I had to say who my favorite player to stream in this game, or not stream, but start, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And then like from the Vegas side of the ball, I think Josh Jacobs is probably your best bet. But that's going to do it for this one. So as always, if you like today's content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a ton, but I'll catch you in the next one. See you.